Hey guys, thanks for coming. Just let me wrap up this past week's game very quickly, and then we'll move on to the most pressing matter, which is Louisiana Tech. After going back and watching the film, it was pretty evident to see we've got a lot of work to do in a lot of areas. But you know, overall, though, for being the first game playing in the rain, a lot of guys getting their first chances to play when we mixed them in. I thought overall pretty clean game. But some guys really stood out. Jamal Robinson, I thought, had an exceptional game. Even though Terrence had the 2 interceptions, I thought he played extremely well. I thought he had a total command of the offense out there on the field. Got us in the right plays, made some really good checks. I thought Daniel Cardona was a weapon that we thought he could be, and I think he's got a chance to even get better and really help this team. Both backs ran hard. I thought they both really demonstrated their 2 strength levels. Alonzo really pounded the line of scrimmage, got some tough 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts, and then you saw what Elijah could do in the open field. I thought offensive line-wise, the biggest thing I was probably most proud of was Terry Johnson. Went the whole game without a bad snap. I thought he was very consistent. First game, still, learning, counting on those 4 guys beside him to really help him. Defensively, if you look, when we go back to offensively, we're moving. I think I mentioned this. Matt Barnes is going to go back to Y. Didn't look as good in space as we had hoped he would. Now with his resurgence of Gabe Fuselier, he really demonstrated he can help us. So we're going to move Matt back to the tight end spot, and I think he'll be a very effective player there. Just wasn't the player in space that we hoped he would be, and it's not fair to him to put him in a spot and not to be successful. Defensively, Trey Johnson, Boris Aniyama, Kevin Fuquay all played well at the linebacker spot. I thought Travis Pat played well in the back end. I thought our back end played pretty good. We can get better. I thought our D-line played well, especially the starting 3. And I thought Christian Ringo was ahead of the rest of them. I thought he played extremely well. We played a lot of guys, and that enabled us to stay fresh throughout the game. And I think that paid off there in the 4th quarter. So crowd-wise, incredible atmosphere at Cajun Field. I expect it to be even better this week with in-state rival, in-state team, Louisiana Tech, coming to town. So real quick, turning to Louisiana Tech. You know, it's a team that I'm not very familiar with for the fact I've never had a chance to play against them, but very familiar with the success they have had as a program. Watching from the outside, they've a lot of tradition there. A lot of great players have come from there, and they've been very successful. They've been very successful against us. I don't think we've beat them in the last 6 times we've played them, and I think they beat us, something I read, 77-14 in 1998. And so they've owned this series of late. Our players know that. We addressed that this summer, and we are excited for the opportunity to compete against these guys. Very familiar with the staff. Manny Diaz is a guy that's a friend of mine who we were together on the same staff at Mississippi State. I know what type of job he does. He's an exceptional coach, high energy guy. He will have that defense chasing the football, I can assure you that. We'll have to have a great plan. And like I said, I think the world of him. Matt Moore is another coach that I'm very familiar with from my time when I was in the state of Alabama. He was at Hoover High School and then went on to Troy, and then has really progressed through the coaching ranks so quickly and does such an exceptional job. I know he's going to have an offensive line playing hard. If you watch them play, they play extremely hard. They play the way they're coached. And then obviously Coach Holtz, his body of work speaks for itself. He's been successful everywhere he's been. And there's no doubt that he's going to have that program ready to go, this team ready to go Saturday, as he's getting that thing turned around. So, and I have the utmost respect for him also. So, big game. We take this game very seriously. Our players do, and they know the importance of this game. And it's a big one for us. I don't think we've even beaten Tech here since 1995 at Cajun Field. So I'm not too good with math, but that's about, what, 20, 21, 20, 19, 20 years. So that's quite a while. And so we're going to have a great week of practice in our preparation. Our players are extremely excited. I think they know it's going to be a great atmosphere. I'm sure the Tech's going to travel a great crowd down here. And we're going to have an incredible crowd, and it's going to be a great atmosphere, especially if this rain will hold off. this weekend, it will be a lot of fun. I think our fans enjoyed the stadium this past week and all the new amenities, and so hopefully we can get going. If you watch those guys on film, I tell you one thing that stands out is they have got a running back, and the guy is phenomenal. He leads that team. I think he rushed for 1,500 yards last year. If you watch him against Oklahoma, he is competing to the very end. This guy, you can tell he plays very hard, he's very intense, and he is one great pass protector. He's cutting guys down right and left all over the field. He's a guy that if you let him, he'll get some momentum and he will put that team on his back. Our offensive line, I think, is a very big physical offensive line led by Joseph Brunson at center, one of our signees 3 years ago. And we knew he was going to be a good player, and he's demonstrating that there. And so I think they're good up front. Our quarterback is a transfer, but if you watch him play, he really made some nice throws. He's a guy, he's not a freshman. He's been in some good systems. He's a smart player, and you can tell that he's a good fit for that system. Defensively, they've got a defensive line. I think a couple of guys on the front, Vernon Butler is a guy that can really get some penetration. I think he's a tough one to handle. We recruited him also, so we know what type of player he is. I think in the back end, I think they're very good in the back end also. And like we talked about with Coach Diaz, he dials up a lot of different looks. So he's had our staff up here just about 24 hours a day, just trying to see if we can break the code, which we have not gotten close to. So it is a very tough defense to figure out. So it'll be a great challenge. We're excited about the game this weekend, though. Renewing this series, I think it's great for both schools. I think it's great for the state. I think it creates a little interest for both programs. Anytime two in-state schools play and go against each other year in, year out. So I think it's good for football, good for the state of Louisiana. So, any questions?
You talk about renewing the series as players, not really probably familiar with the fans are. How have you gone about in this offseason and this week trying to convey what this series means, especially to the fan base?
Well, our fan base knows what it means. Our fan base has been a part of this series for a long time, and obviously being on the short end for the last 6 times we've played them, they're probably more hungry than anybody. And so they know it. A lot of our new players have been here, and that's why we addressed this so early in January, because none of our current players have ever played them, because it's been quite a while since we played Louisiana Tech. And so we got the point across to them early this spring, throughout the summer, with our Protect the House workouts and things like that. And even went through a complete history of this series, and they know the history of the series, and they know what's at stake here, and they're going to take this game very seriously, as well as our coaching staff. And we're going to be very prepared to play the game, and excited to kick it off and compete with those guys.
What about the recruiting aspect of it too? You know, picking up that win against that in-state school, how big is that to kind of come back and?
Well, anytime that you recruit against other schools and you going against a lot of the same guys, recruiting the same guys, anytime you win, it helps for that next recruiting cycle, and then it starts over again each year, and that's the great thing about it. And so, but you know what? We'll worry about that when we get there. For us, it's trying to play our best this weekend, and regardless of who we're playing, we want to absolutely try to improve from this past week, correct the mistakes we saw, and improve in a lot of areas, which I really think we will.
Mike was up there talking about needing to get better protection for Broadway. What adjustments in that regard, if any?
Well, they brought some guys the other night, and we probably could have got in a couple of different protections to make sure we had enough in the box. And then the Broadway inflicted a little bit of that, because some of the times he got hit, Jamal was talking about some plays where he checked to a pass within a run scheme. So on those, you got to catch and throw, and he squeezed a little too long. So as a quarterback, that's about the best way to learn is through doing it. And so I'm sure you don't want to hold on it that long anymore, especially against Louisiana Tech.
What were you doing differently with the defensive linemen compared to last year? Biggest thing?
Not a whole lot. A little bit to do with maybe slanting the guys, different gaps, and trying to create some rush lanes in just a couple of games that we were doing with the D-line. But overall, some of the same schemes, just tweaking a few things here and there to try to find a couple of matchups and create some open gaps for some guys.
You got the guy out there, a linebacker, who is the son of a coach.
Right.
I mean, how much difference does that make?
Well, you know, anytime you grow up around the game, you pick up things way probably easier than people that just maybe start picking the game up in high school. I know my son Major and Gunner right now are way ahead of where I was, and obviously at this point in their career, because not only do they play Xbox, which is about as complicated as a game as I've ever seen, so complicated that I get beat about 70-0 every time I play my sons in the game. But you know, they grow up in practice, they grow up in the meeting rooms, they grow up on the sidelines, and that's what he did. Kevin grew up with his dad watching film. He knows all the nuances. He's just ahead of the game. And so, in being a linebacker and a quarterback, that's really important, because the linebacker is the quarterback of the defense.
Coach Holtz made it pretty clear yesterday that he doesn't exactly agree with some of the things that their alumni and other people have been saying about the separation of Tech from UL. Said that this is a big game for them. It has the same things you said. It's important for recruiting reasons why, and he said called UL a state rival, and so he you know, clearly he's not taking this game lightly.
Oh, I wouldn't think so. You know, Coach Holtz is a veteran, and like I said, been so successful, and he knows how to prepare his football team. And you know, he's like ourselves. You know, we take every game serious, and we prepare for everyone. And I think this game is good for the state, good for both schools. And I think it is an in-state rivalry game. I don't know why you couldn't call it that. At least we do. And so we're proud to be a part of this series, and hopefully we can continue it. I think it's good for both schools.
Having Dixon with their run attack, does it kind of lend your offense to maybe going more towards the run to keep them off the field?
No, you know, we're going to do what we do, and although Dixon is a load, and if you let him keep pounding it, sooner or later that guy will pop one, and he did it against Oklahoma a couple times too, and against a very, very good defense. And they played a top 4 team in the country the other day, and so they've got a really good back, and he just seems to get better as the game goes on. But the thing, if you notice, he's a good runner. He's an exceptional runner, and he is just such a competitor. And he's so physical in the pass protections, whether he's blocking off the edge, cutting an end, or picking up somebody on a chip block. Yeah, that guy, he brings it. He's impressive to watch.
Coach Holtz talked about the improvement of his quarterback in the second half. How much better he started playing after that midway point. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think so. I think he got much better in the second half. And that's just going to come with experience, come with playing time. And anybody in your first start, you know, you're not going to be as probably as calm as you are later on. I wasn't probably very good in the first half of my first game too as a head coach. And so talking about their quarterback, and I think he did get better as the game wore on. And I tell you, he's an accurate passer. He doesn't force it into coverage, and he understands their scheme. And he can turn around and give the ball to Dixon anytime he wants to. So that's a pretty good luxury also.
Now you said the game plan last week against Southern with New Vanilla. Do you go to maybe Rocky Road or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, no question. Rocky Road, cookies and cream, you name it. So we're not holding back anything, I can assure you that. And we did go for that a little bit last week. Not just to save everything for later in the season, but just for the fact, first game, we wanted to come out and have a really, really crisp game. Not a lot of mistakes, and where you got balls over your head, and bad snaps, and missed timing, and we wanted to be very sharp and sort of set the tone, and play hard, play with a lot of passion, and didn't want to handcuff playmakers by having to think a lot. And so we want our guys to play fast, and for us, it's about getting the ball to our playmakers and give those guys a chance to make plays. And but you know, we'll have everything available this week, and we'll need it to find some answers for Manny, because I know Manny will have another plan for us this week that we have not seen. So we're going to have to be ready to make adjustments on the field throughout the game, and that's part of the chess match of football, and that's the challenge.
Speaking of those playmakers, Jamal, Eli, how much of an indication of your explosive potential is it that you guys can drop 45 points when you're just keeping it simple, things like that?
Well, you know, and also, you know, in all fairness, you know, we didn't play Oklahoma either game one, so, you know, you've got to consider that too. Although I will say this, Southern's football team was the classiest team I've played in a long time. I thought those guys competed extremely well, considering the circumstances that they were put in, coaches and players are put in some very adverse circumstances, not by their choosing. And for them to come in, not stretch, and play as hard as they played, and it's what they went the whole game without a turnover. I think they only had a few penalties. And they played extremely well with a lot of class. And I went and told those guys that too. I thought that was important. And I really appreciate people that play the game the right way. And Coach Odom, that guy's a class act. And I think they're going to me, if they don't win SWAC, then I don't know who he is. I think they've got to be the front runners again.
Coach Odom said you visited their locker room after the game?
I did.
What would you?
I just felt impelled after the game because I shook a couple of the guys' hands, and they just, one of those guys that gave you a great shake, looked you in the eye and said, "Congratulations, Coach." And I just knew what they'd gone through, and being in this business a long time, I know how kids feel in the locker room. You play your hearts out. And I just popped in there and asked one of their assistant coaches, Coach Odom was in the press conference, I could just say hello. And just wanted to tell those guys that I thought they played with a lot of class, and I thought they played hard to the end. And you can really appreciate that.
Coach, your philosophy with recruiting big receivers kind of on display Saturday with Jamal making those catches, with Jared going up and making the catch. Is that kind of your philosophy, just showing up on the field? That's why you wanted to go after?
That's why we recruit big players, and not just to throw the fades, but strong players that can pull through. They're strong enough to grab DBs, pull through them, can run good, strong routes, got good, strong hands. That's definitely our recruiting philosophy. And sometimes you give up a little bit of maybe shake and bake, what you might call it, with some of the little scat guys. But we like the guys that can go down the field, the big guys that can break tackles and go up and get the ball and make plays in other ways also.
Coach, going back to getting Gabe to some more snaps maybe in the game plan. He obviously gives you some of that shake and bake, what he can do in the open field, and so is that some of the part of the process of thinking there that he fits more of a natural fit in that position?
He does. You know, our inside receivers are not the big guys, but our outside X and Z, we want big guys on the edge. But Gabe showed good speed. He ran the jet sweep very effectively. He had a couple of nice runs on the jet sweep, and he blocks well on the perimeter. You know, he's a tough guy, and that guy, when he arrived, that guy had been in the weight room. I love guys that love that weight room. That guy trained. He trained hard, came in, he was prepared. He wasn't a skinny freshman when he reported. You know, he's the guy that loves that weight room all the way through high school, you can tell. And he's got good speed, good football knowledge, and well coached, obviously, there in high school. And so I think he's going to be a really good player for us.
Any update on Chris Hill and his Mulberry back?
Mulberry should be back. He's going to be limited today if he gets to go today. It's not for sure he'll get to go. We're hoping he'll get the call here in a minute. If he don't, though, we still expect him back for Saturday. But Chris Hill, we have not got confirmation yet. We're still waiting.
Oklahoma had a lot of success running the football, but can you kind of break down Tech's defensive front in your eyes?
Well, like we talked about, Vernon Butler is a really good defensive lineman, and they got a couple of, I think, very good defensive linemen who really take the gap, get penetration, and their outside linebackers that are standing on the line of scrimmage on both sides in their 3-4 look, I think are very athletic. I think they drop them in the coverage and bring them off the edge. They give you so many different looks. The safeties are in the box, and the safeties are out of the box. There's a lot of people in the box, and Manny's always going to have one more guy in the box than you do. And so it creates quite a challenge. And so it says a lot about, you know, the confidence they have in their players, and they've got some very talented guys on the defense side of the ball.
Anything else?